pictures are coming your way. In case you have just joined us, the President has actually arrived here at Parliament buildings in readiness for his address. Earlier, Her Honor the Vice President, Mr. Blike Nalumango, did indicate the time that the President will be in the chamber, and this is at 10:25. So at 10:25, we do expect President Hichilema to be in the chamber to address the House and the nation at large. And so, Madam Speaker has met the President. So that's Madam Speaker and President Hakainde Hichilema has been met and received by Madam Speaker, and they are being led by the Sergeant at Arms. And so if you are able to hear from the background, there's some traditional music or songs that are being played right now, some kind of dedication to the President. It's actually, the song is actually done in Tonga. It's some kind of, welcoming a leader. If it's in the village, it means you're welcoming a traditional leader or a chief. And this
simply put, Claudette, royal drums.
Absolutely. And so this time around, they're welcoming President Hichilema. He's actually accompanied by his wife Mutinta.
So there you have it. That's the Republican president being welcomed by various dance troops that have mounted here at Parliament buildings, and is now proceeding to the chamber after being welcomed by various traditional troops. And like we mentioned earlier on, these are coming from all the 10 corners of this country, depicting the cultural diverse that we have as a country. And we should also make mention that the First Lady looks immaculate in that pink or purple dress that she's wearing, Claudette. And this, the Republican president in his usual red or maroon necktie, looking immaculate as well.
Absolutely. So there's a bit of purple in the First Lady's outfits and a bit of pink. So it almost matches with what Her Honor the Vice President is wearing. A bit of pink and a bit of purple. A very important day, a day that is characterized with pomp and splendor. So uh, the president and the speaker actually heading to the speaker's office, and we do expect President Hichilema to sign the speaker's parliamentary visitors book, and obviously they'll have a chat on one or two issues, and thereafter come to the chamber for the much awaited presidential address as the president officially opens the third session of the 13th National Assembly right here on Parliament television.
And also so the service chiefs, and we did see Lieutenant General C. Barry, Commander Zambia Air Force, and there was Lieutenant General D. Alubuzu from the Zambia Army, his commander, and Mr. Jim Samba, Inspector General of Zambia Police, Lieutenant General M. Zoloshi, Commander of the Zambia National Service, and Mr. F.S. Chirupuku, Commissioner General of Zambia Correctional Service.
All right, so there you have it, the President and Madam Speaker. I'm meant to believe that they're actually listening to a song that is being performed right now. There you have it. That's our very own National Assembly of Zambia choir singing a song of, Zambia's rich natural resources, and they're basically saying Zambia has a number of natural resources. We've got the animals, we've got the waterfalls. We are a rich country, and so they are simply appreciating what this country has to offer. And so the president was simply listening to that beautiful song as he heads to the speaker's office to sign the parliamentary visitors book.
And it's also worth mentioning, Claudette, talking about our newly formed choir. And this is the initiative of the Right Honorable Madam Speaker to come up with the choir. And so far, from what we've witnessed here at Parliament during the rehearsal, and you and I do remember that we were surprised when we heard the choir singing, and the way they sang as if they've been singing for so many years.
You actually thought it was a CD playing.
It sounded like a recorded, and it's something that I'm looking forward, more especially when we have events at
Absolutely.
Parliament buildings where we would want to hear our very own choir. And other parliaments do have choirs, and it's also important that the Zambian Parliament have emulated what other parliaments are doing in other regions.
Absolutely, so much talent here at National Assembly, and so the president, being led by the Sergeant at Arms and accompanied by the Speaker, actually making their way to the Speaker's office to talk about one or two issues that we won't be able to hear, but obviously he's going to sign a parliamentary visitors book. That's the tradition, actually. Every time the president comes here at the National Assembly, he actually signs a parliamentary visitors book. So as we wait for this particular um, moment to happen, we'll just have some excerpts from last year's presidential address in 2022, which was under the theme working together towards socio-economic transformation, stimulating economic growth for improved livelihood. And so the president, in his address last year, did say that government's focus has been and remains that of transforming the country into an industrialized nation with the participation of citizens and in partnership with the private sector to systematically unlock various economic opportunities to deliver inclusive development jobs and improve livelihoods for people. So that's how come the theme for last year was coined, working together towards socio-economic transformation, stimulating economic growth for improved livelihood. So we're looking forward to this year's theme for Center.
Fingers crossed, and I'm sure many Zambians out there are also crossing their fingers, looking forward to today's address by the Republican president. Like I mentioned earlier on, it will set the tone for the months and years to come. And talking about some of the excerpts that we extracted from the previous speech, the president also talked about the fight against corruption as a core component of government strategy, not only to enhance the transparency and accountability in the administration of public resources, but a matter of justice in the way government delivers social, economic dividends to the people. And the president said in order to re-establish the tenets of integrity and total accountability in public service delivery, he said against corruption shall remain decisive and will be cross-cutting with no sacred cows, and government shall undertake land reforms to operationalize the national land policy.
All right, that's on your screen. The president signing in the parliamentary visitors book. We're all wondering what he's actually written. The fact that he's coming here officially for the third time, and that's all happening in the Speaker's chamber, that's in the Speaker's office. After that is done, we do expect the President to make his way into the chamber and thereafter address the House and the nation as a whole as he officially opens the third session of the 13th National Assembly. All this happening live on Parliament television, also live on Parliament radio, and we're also live on Facebook. That's the National Assembly of Zambia's Facebook page. We must also mention that we're streaming live on YouTube. So wherever you are, you can always catch us as events unfold here at the National Assembly.
Still sharing with you some of the excerpts from the previous address that the president made. He did also talk about increase the transfer value of social cash transfer beneficiaries from 300 to 400 every 2 months, with the transfer value for persons with disability from 600 to 800 every 2 months. And it was in this same address, Claudette, that the president announced the increased allocation to CDF from 1.6 million to 25.7 million, and government has expanded the scope of the funds to include components of empowerment for youth and women, as well as bursaries for secondary and boarding schools and skills. And You and I have covered CDF projects from selected constituencies across the country, and we've seen how local people are appreciating these projects that are taking shape in various constituencies. And I was in Northwestern Province not too long ago, and it was a marvel to see young people from different communities in Kalumbila district graduating from these skills training center. And parents were happy to see their children having empowered with some form of skill, which will in turn be survival for them.
Absolutely. A number of people in the community have actually benefited from the CDF. Well, you and I, like you mentioned, have been on the ground, and we've seen a number of, classroom blocks being built, extended. We've also seen construction of, clinics, hospitals. So there's a lot that is happening out there using, the constituency development fund. And so one is wondering whether the president will also talk about another increase in the constituency development fund.
Fingers across, who knows? And there you have it. Very beautiful picture there taken in the Speaker's chamber there. The Republican President, the Right Honorable Madam Speaker, and indeed not forgetting the First Lady there, that's Madam Mutinta Hichilema. And if I recollect properly, Claudette, it is in the same address where the president did announce in his address the bursary, giving bursary back to students in various institutions. And we did hear from students' union across the country applauding the government for reinstating bursary. We know that it was suspended for some time, and it's something that students from various learning institutions have appreciated, and because it has really helped them in one way or another.
Absolutely. And in last year's address, the president actually did say that the government is focused on resolving one of the biggest economic challenges, that is the debt crisis, with support of domestic and international partners under the G20 Common Framework. The International Monetary Fund, that IMF, has approved support towards Zambia's homegrown economic development, which puts the country on course to restructuring the debt. And to this effect, we did see the Minister of Finance, Dr. Hichilema, deliver a ministerial statement here on the floor of the House on the 27th of June 2023 on debt restructuring agreement with official bilateral creditors. That's the debt sustainability analysis that was conducted in 2020 indicated that Zambia's debt was sustainable and surface debt distress, and the country did make a request to the G20 Common Framework for more sustainable debt treatment in 2020. Consequently, a creditor committee for Zambia was formed by countries with eligible claims on Zambia. And the committee deliberated extensively regarding the extent of relief that Zambia requires, which would be compatible with the IMF debt sustainability parameters required to take the country out of debt distress. And it is with this effect that the government has now reached an agreement for debt treatment.
Very, very important undertaking there, Claudette. And the other aspect that the President talked about in his address on the 9th of September 2022 was to do with the 8th Development Plan in order to entrench the homegrown reform program and the country's strategic direction. Government officially launched the 8th National Development Plan, which is the 8 NDP 2022 to 2026, under the theme Socio-Economic Transformation for Improved Livelihoods, and it was launched 1st September 2022 at Mulongoshi International Conference Center. And the plan has been designed to unlock the country's immense prospects in all sectors of the economy for sustainable, holistic, and inclusive national development, with aim of returning the country to the trajectory of its 2030 vision.
All right, and the other aspect that the president did talk about in last year's address was that Another priority sector in economic transformation and job creation agenda is tourism. It had, as of 2022, recorded favorable performance in comparison to 2021. International tourist arrivals increased from around 240,000 in the first half of 2021 to nearly 496,500. So the increase, the president did say, that was attributed to, among many other factors, such as reduced visa fees. And we know that as of now, nationals of 43 countries, including Australia, Canada, China, Saudi Arabia, the United States countries, can now enter Zambia under its visa waiver agreement.
Yes, very, very important initiative, and this will boost tourism in our country. And we've seen an increase in number of tourists visiting various sites in our country. You and I, Claudette, we may not appreciate social cash transfer, but when you go on the ground in rural areas, the aged, the disabled people in communities, they do appreciate social cash transfer. It is very important that the government did increase the number of beneficiaries, households being supported, up from 887,759 in 2021 to 913,254 in 2022. And government also increased the transfer value of social cash transfer beneficiaries from 300 kwacha to 400 kwacha every 2 months, with the transfer value for persons with disability from 600 to 800 every 2 months.
All right. And in terms of corruption, the president in last year's address did talk about the fight against corruption as a core component of government strategy, not only to enhance transparency and accountability in the administration of public. All right, so you can hear cheering from members of parliament that the First Lady, Madam Mutinta Hichilema, making her way into the chamber, and this actually means that the president will be in the chamber any time from now. So the president in last year's address did say that in order to re-establish the tenets of integrity and total accountability in public service delivery, the crusade against corruption shall remain decisive and will be cross-cutting with no sacred cows.
So the question still remains, what will be this address theme? I'm sure people are looking forward to hearing more pronouncements that the president will make in his address today. And let's continue looking at some of excerpts that from the speech that the president made from last year. The president did talk about various issues, and he talked about issues to do with where he said that government shall continue to prioritize food and nutrition security through diversified food production initiatives and ensuring that attainment of the Sustainable Development Goal on ensuring zero hunger. And he also said that he was pleased to report to the House and the country that the country is food secure with over 1.2 million tons of surplus maize. And to guarantee and enhance national food security and nutrition security, government implemented the farmer input support program, supporting over 1 million small and medium scale farmers with fertilizer and seeds to produce more food for the people of Zambia. And he further said that in addition, government is implementing the Food Security Park program to ensure food security at household level for vulnerable but viable farmers by providing basic farming inputs such as fertilizer as well as cereal and legume seeds. There you have it. That's the president leaving the Speaker's chamber, heading to the chamber for the official address.
Absolutely, and there's going to be a traditional drum called Ngoma ya Bukali that will herald the approach of the President and the Right Honorable Madam Speaker with the President's procession, and they are making their way
Gazette Notice number 1036 of 2023, the National Assembly of Zambia, notice of the third session of the 13th National Assembly. Notice is hereby given to all members of Parliament and the general public that in the exercise of the power conferred upon the Speaker of the National Assembly by Standing Order 17.3 of the National Assembly of Zambia, Standing Orders 2021, the Speaker appoints Friday, 8th September 2023 as the date for the first sitting of the third session of the 13th National Assembly, dated the 8th day of August 2023. NB Kemuti MP, Speaker of the National Assembly.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. We join you today to officially open the third session of the 13th National Assembly, an occasion that provides us with an opportunity to reflect on the progress we are making as a nation towards our development aspirations. Our 2 years in office, the UPND 2 years in office, confirms to us that development, as we knew, is not a straightforward journey. But we are determined to ensure that all we have envisioned, all of it, will be fulfilled over time. We thank our citizens for the resilience and the support they have rendered to us during this 2-year period. Madam Speaker, the last session of the National Assembly was indeed very productive. The House passed 21 bills and considered 37 committee reports, 413 questions, and 15 private members' motions. In addition, 68 ministerial statements were rendered on the floor of the House. We commend you and your 2 deputies, Madam Speaker, for providing exemplary leadership to this august House. In the same light, we commend Her Honor the Vice President of the Republic of Zambia for ensuring that government business in the House was conducted in an effective and efficient manner. Further, we express our gratitude to the Office of the Clerk of the National Assembly and her staff, his staff, then and now his staff, and acknowledge the support rendered to this august House to allow for smooth business to be conducted. Honorable members of Parliament, we commend you too for effectively representing your constituencies and the nation at large. That's what you were elected to do. Madam Speaker, I want to share the theme of this address to this House. In 2021, we committed to turning around the economy and setting the country on a course towards prosperity. Despite a tough journey, the country is now on the path to attaining our aspirations as enshrined in the National Vision 2030 of becoming a prosperous middle-income country. Our focus today, Madam Speaker, is on the achievements made so far in ensuring a brighter future for all our people. It is in this regard that the theme for our address today is building on the social economic gains for improved livelihoods and indeed a better Zambia. Our theme calls upon every citizen, every Zambian citizen, and the entire nation to unite and build upon our individual and collective achievements, forging a more productive and unified nation that future generations will proudly reflect on that which we would have done as our contribution to society. Macroeconomic developments. Madam Speaker, upon assuming office, as I indicated, our priority was to restore the rule of law, fix the economy, by sealing leakages, introducing financial prudence, and maintaining macroeconomic stability for sustained growth, an essential ingredient without which you will not achieve much. No country will achieve much. We are therefore proud to report to this August House that prudent spending has been retained to our country, and with it, a positive economic growth was recorded, Madam Speaker, to be specific, at 4.7% in 2022. On the move upwards. We have managed to reduce the end-of-year inflation to single digit at 9.9% for 2022. In the same vein, we're working hard to stabilize the exchange rate of the kwacha against major currencies, which itself is anchored on the economic reconstruction because it does not exist in isolation. Part of our strategy, Madam Speaker, to fix the economy was to deal with a huge debt stock that we inherited. Phenomenally huge. Our efforts under the G20 Common Framework, Madam Speaker, I'm proud to say, resulted in the debt restructuring agreement, with our official creditors, which has accorded the people of Zambia significant debt relief, I must say. Under this agreement, debt repayments have been rescheduled as part of restructuring. Debt repayments has been rescheduled by more than 12 years, and interest rates, Madam Speaker, I'm proud to say, have been reduced to concessional levels for the next 14 years. Madam Speaker, the agreement also paves the way for engagement with our private creditors, whom we are optimistic will provide comparable terms to those of the official creditor committee. Madam Speaker, I want to say that this assignment was complicated. To many, it looked like mission impossible. But here we are, working together. We have achieved that which was envisioned to be almost impossible. Madam Speaker, the road to securing the debt restructuring agreement, I want to emphasize, was difficult. It required a complex networking and collaboration with our partners from diverse interest groups. And it does help to call them partners rather than negative names, because we borrowed from them. We need to have a warm relationship with them. Otherwise, we achieve no agreement at all. So, Madam Speaker, lesson there. Lesson for the nation now and into the future. We therefore thank members of the Official Creditor Committee, Madam Speaker, co-chaired by China, the People's Republic of China, and France, with South Africa being the vice chair. Our gratitude is also extended, Madam Speaker, to bilateral and multilateral institutions, as well as our team, our in-house team that worked on this complex assignment. The citizens of Zambia need to be thanked, without whose opportunity granted to us would have never had this opportunity to redress an injustice in the name of the debt mountain, for being supportive of the negotiations and being patient to wait for positive outcomes, Madam Speaker. This mission impossible was achieved in under 2 years of our UPND administration. The debt mountain, Madam Speaker, was like a python conscripting our necks, our chest, of course ribs, and our legs. Zambian citizens should never allow such a reckless situation to happen ever again. The 2024 national budget, to be presented soon by the Honorable Minister of Finance and National Planning, will outline specific measures, Madam Speaker, to continue building on these macroeconomic gains that we've achieved in the months that have gone. We urge this August House to support, Madam Speaker, I ask in advance, to support the budget for improved livelihoods and a better Zambia, not for a few, but for all. Madam Speaker, we now highlight the strides we have made and the policy measures to be pursued in line with the 8th National Development Plan, because that's how it works. Things must be done in an orderly manner. Economic transformation and job creation. Madam Speaker, production, higher productivity, very important, value addition, investment, and trade remain the key pillars to our economic transformation agenda through, of course, our citizens, residents, businesses, and all. Agriculture remains, Madam Speaker, the bedrock of our economic transformation and job creation agenda to address past ills in this sector, which saw the reduction in the production of the staple food called maize, mealie meal. We are making steady progress in transforming the sector to make it more efficient and indeed productive for the benefit of our people. The United Party for National Development, UPND New Dawn administration has continued to support small-scale farmers with inputs under the Farmer Input Support Program, Madam Speaker. We have continued to do that. We are not about to stop. We will continue to do better within the framework of the Comprehensive Agricultural Transformation Support Program, so that we look at agriculture from a holistic window, not a narrow window. In the 2022-2023 farming season, Madam Speaker, I wish to state that 1,024,434, this number, huge number, of our small-scale farmers were provided or will be provided with inputs. In fact, were, because this is 2022-2023, with inputs. However, our maize supply has come under immense pressure due to regional and global supply deficits arising from factors such as climate change, Madam Speaker, instability in some parts of our global community. Consequently, our food security has been impacted negatively, as evidenced by the rising prices of mealie meal in the country. We are very aware of this situation, Madam Speaker. We are concerned about this situation, Madam Speaker, and are doing everything possible to stabilize the price of our staple commodity, food called mealie meal. Measures will be seen and their positive impact fairly soon. Furthermore, we are putting in place, Madam Speaker, measures which will cushion the vulnerable in society as we restructure or secure solutions around this subject. Madam Speaker, in order to stimulate production of our staple food, maize, to address the supply challenges as we have stated above, we are putting in place the following measures, Madam Speaker. I'm sure you are interested to know. Number one, starting from the current marketing season, we have increased the purchase price of maize to 280 kwacha from 180 kwacha per 50 kg bag to stimulate production. Otherwise, we are going to run short of meal. Very important issue, because farmers were not making money at the farm gate. That's our response. We are, number two, establishing a credit window. Hear me out. We are establishing a credit window to support small-scale and medium, large-scale farmers in the public sector. Workers under this window in the public sector will be free to borrow, and any other citizen at a concessional rate, so we can increase production. Others that can access other financing mechanisms will also continue to do this. But we've taken this as a deliberate step to inject resources in the sector so we can increase production of maize and consequently assist us in stabilizing the maize or meal price, if you like. Number three, we're encouraging early maize production from commercial and other farmers by guaranteeing a ready market. In the past, commercial farmers were invited into this area, they produced, but there was no offtake. Now we've organized the offtake market, which will not hinder commercial farmers from producing more maize. Those are some of the measures, Madam Speaker, we are taking. In order to increase agricultural production and productivity, the story goes on, in the medium to longer term, Madam Speaker, we have made considerable progress in the development of support infrastructure in the farming blocks. For instance, we will accelerate development of the farm blocks through the $300 million Zambia Growth Opportunities Project. This will involve improving road networks, provision of power to these farming areas, and construction of skills training center, including water harvesting for irrigation. Very important. Madam Speaker, our desire to provide agricultural mechanization services to our small-scale farmers, medium-scale farmers, is becoming a reality. In 2022, a total of 4,000 small-scale farmers were provided with tractor-based mechanization services, exceeding the annual target of 1,500 farmers. Tremendous. Provision of irrigation facilities is another priority, as I've indicated, for the UPND New Dawn administration. We will continue with construction, rehabilitation, and maintenance of water harvesting and irrigation infrastructure across the country. Our target is to reduce over-dependence on rain-fed agriculture and ensure planting throughout the year. At least for cleared hectareage on irrigation, we should be able to do 2 crops a year. That means a lot. Madam Speaker, our government is expanding the coverage of extension services to our farmers. We will recruit more frontline staff to support our farmers in the crop, livestock, and fisheries production sectors covering the whole country. Madam Speaker, we have heightened surveillance and management of livestock diseases and also intensified vaccinations in the disease-prone areas across the country. This year, we have managed to control African swine fever disease outbreak. We also reduced the incidence of foot and mouth disease in the first half of 2023. Further, Madam Speaker, we have worked to control the contagious bovine pleural pneumonia, CBPP, in Chisamba district when it broke out. Within months of that outbreak, just a few months, we moved very quickly, Madam Speaker, to contain this deadly disease. In a bid to contain CBP in Western Province, we are currently conducting mass vaccination of animals against the disease. With these efforts, we have witnessed a significant reduction in stock movement restrictions, which was affecting livestock farmers. Madam Speaker, the fisheries subsector is a critical growth area. To increase fish production, and sustainable utilization of fisheries resources, we have developed the Fisheries and Agricultural Policy, and effective implementation of this policy will bridge the current fish deficit estimated at 74,000 metric tons per year, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, Madam Speaker, to enhance market access, which is very important in business, for non-traditional exports in the agriculture sector, we have continued to meet the phytosanitary requirements, resulting into more of our products being accepted on the international market, including the regional market. We are pleased to inform the House, Madam Speaker, that this year we have so far exported around 127 metric tons of avocado fruit to the European Union compared to only 37 metric tons in 2022. We're not yet through in the year, but we're doing much better. We can do better. In addition, the country has exported around 1,215 metric tons of fresh cut flowers to the European Union in the first half of this year alone, compared to 853 metric tons in the whole of 2022. As I keep on saying, Madam Speaker, we are believers that we can do more in all these areas. Further, in the first half of 2023, we exported 488 metric tons of passion fruit, compared to only 50 metric tons in the whole of 2022. You can see the upward movement, Madam Speaker. And 106 metric tons of fresh vegetables, compared to only 36 metric tons in the same period last year. We commend the private sector for leveraging the export opportunities created in the lucrative cash crops and horticultural markets in the region and beyond, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, Madam Speaker, the mining sector is significant to our economy. We share the pain and the frustration of our people, especially those on the Copper Belt, on the protracted process of resolving outstanding issues at Konkola and Mopani copper mines. The extended negotiations, Madam Speaker, were intended to ensure that we achieve the best outcome that will safeguard the interest of our people, the interest of suppliers and contractors, the interest of the owners. That's how it works, Madam Speaker. The UPND government believes that we should not mine in court. The UPND government, Madam Speaker, believes we should not mine in court, but at the mine sites. This is important to discourage. This mind frame is important to discourage excessive litigation in this sector. This is the situation, Madam Speaker, we found. 90% of mines are riddled with litigation. Not one litigation case, multiple litigation cases. And we've undertaken to move these cases out of courts, not by coercion, but by negotiation, back into the business rooms, boardrooms, and then into the mine sites, and production takes place, and we achieve the intended jobs. This will give us the intended jobs that were planned to generate out of the mining sector. Following the negotiations, Madam Speaker, we are very proud today, before this House, to announce that Vedanta Resources Limited has come back to KCM through negotiation and has committed and agreed to do the following. One, to inject $1 billion investment in Konkola copper mines, mine development. Madam Speaker, mine development. Please mark my words. Two, $250 million payment to local creditors for legacy debt. That will inject money in the mining community on the copper belt, and obviously to the marketeer at Chisokone and elsewhere. Number three, Madam Speaker, an annual $20 million investment into the community as part of community social responsibility, corporate responsibility, through a special purpose vehicle. We're very careful this time and not be careless as was the case in the past. So a special purpose vehicle will be set up called Community Trust, and the 20% salary increment, Madam Speaker, for all the employees that have endured the pain over the years since 2019. Madam Speaker, since 2019, before the change of government, that is when trouble started at KCM. But we are going back to 2019 and taking account of the pain that has been occasioned to our innocent workers. Madam Speaker, we want to reassure our citizens that government is working hard to resolve all the outstanding issues at all the mines, including Mopani copper mines. And I can say without hesitation that this good news will be followed by another, not long from today, and another, I'm aware, and I'm very confident about it. And to ensure an attractive mining sector for increased investment and output to achieve our intended target, our administration is undertaking regulatory and structural reforms that will contribute to the increase and diversification of the mineral production portfolio in our country, Madam Speaker. This is important, given the new electric vehicle industry worth trillions and trillions of dollars. We want to participate effectively in this industry. To this end, Madam Speaker, government is establishing a Minerals Regulatory Commission to superintend over the mining sector, to take out the chaos, the drama that exists in that sector. We think that this is the best way of dedicating a team, professionals, Zambian professionals, to supervise mines and generate the results that are intended from the sector, to promote investment as well and ensure the country gets a maximum benefit from these mineral resources. Madam Speaker, we are determined to make our minerals deliver value to all our people, unlike in the past. Madam Speaker, to support investment and diversification in the exploration, mining and processing of minerals, our administration will embark on a national geological mapping exercise of the whole country. As you may know, Madam Speaker, only about 50% of our country is mapped in terms of mineral endowment. But even this is not correct because the technology applied at the time was of the lower quality. With better technology, we should see more and more better things coming out of here. Madam Speaker, this will enable us to get accurate data on our mineral resource endowment and how to exploit it for the betterment of the people of Zambia. Other countries have done it, Madam Speaker. We're learning from those countries. We'll pick the relevant lessons and apply them in our own context in this country. That's how the world works, Madam Speaker. Government is formalizing artisanal and small-scale mining to increase participation of our citizens in the mining sector. We urge all our citizens involved in small-scale artisanal mining to ensure that they formalize their businesses and comply with relevant laws and regulations. We will not support illegal mining of any kind from anyone. Law and order should apply in this sector as in the whole country. Madam Speaker, I take this opportunity to encourage Zambians. You are getting licenses. Please don't exchange them for a BMW the following day. Find a partner. Invest. Be patient. Good things don't come overnight. Harvest comes after sowing a seed. Harvest coming after weeding. Harvest comes after you have not eaten the green stuff and wait for it to dry so you can create more seeds. This is the culture we like this country to adopt. Not consumption now, but no investment. Madam Speaker, this is an important issue. That's why we acquired a huge debt mountain on one side, but no growth on the other. That's a contradiction. It is because of this culture of eating now and not investing, no patience. Let's learn some lessons from there. Madam Speaker, Tourism is a sector that we believe will increase the number of jobs in the country and enhance our foreign reserve, foreign exchange earnings. We are happy, Madam Speaker, very proud and happy that post the COVID-19 era, the sector, tourism sector, has continued to register positive growth. Positive growth. Occupancies have increased, Madam Speaker. Numbers don't lie. And therefore revenue. Our country recorded an increase in the number of international tourist arrivals to 605,650 in the first half of this year alone, compared to 496,456 in the corresponding period of 2022 and worse 2021. The curve is moving upwards, Madam Speaker. This is the result of our deliberate policy or policies, one of which is waiving of the visa requirements for visitors, coupled with the robust marketing of the country and other measures. We can do more, Madam Speaker. I'll be the first one to agree, and we'll work on to doing more. Further, Madam Speaker, the number of domestic visits to tourist sites increased. This is very important, Madam Speaker. Domestic visitations to tourist sites has increased to 301,758 in 2022 from 235,392 in 2021. This is important. Domestic tourism is extremely important to any economy. Here it is, the numbers are coming through. We encourage more of our people to visit our national parks, museums, heritage, and other tourist sites to enjoy the beauty of their own country. Many Zambians do not realize how beautiful their country is. Here's an opportunity. Please do so. We also call upon tour operators to design packages that are affordable for ordinary Zambians. We encourage the tour operators to consider making provisions that allow the elderly, the differently abled, to visit these sites as well. In an effort, Madam Speaker, to make the tourism sector more competitive and resilient, obviously, and retention of fees, revenue in the country, we have abolished and are reducing the cost of doing business depending on which aspect we are dealing with. Some we've abolished, some we've reduced. In the interest of time, I will not elaborate that. The budget will do that when it comes on the floor of this House. Madam Speaker, the aviation subsector is another example which has continued to rebound post the COVID-19. The number of airlines flying into the country, Madam Speaker, and the frequency of flights, number of flights, airlines coming into the country, frequency of flights, two different things, have increased. No question about it. And the frequency of these flights by local and foreign airlines put together have all increased, local and foreign. Recently, we witnessed the introduction of the Mozambican airlines flying back into our country, as well as the reintroduction of the Turkish airlines, which all had left the country a few years ago. I shall not go into those reasons. Everybody knows the reasons. Similarly, our local airline operators have now extended their flights into the region, making our country more connected. We should all be proud that our local airlines are now penetrating the regional markets with the support of the measures and policies that were put in place. This is how you build an economy, Madam Speaker. This is how you build an economy. Especially with a small population of 20 million, you need to export, and support exports must be automatic to all of us, especially in this House, because we must know the benefit of that. Madam Speaker, our administration has created an enabling business environment and is providing support for the enhancement of entrepreneurship, innovation, and value addition across all the sectors. To facilitate investment, we have digitized the issuance of investment licenses and permits. Madam Speaker, I want to emphasize the importance of cutting bureaucracy in the business sector. This is one. through digitization, we've now been able to cut on the time and the bureaucracy for one to get an investment license and permits. This is only the beginning. Sooner or later, very soon, you will see the benefits working its way into the economy and jobs. That's how it works, Madam Speaker. The prevailing conducive business environment has led to the establishment of manufacturing enterprises in various sectors, notably, Madam Speaker, proudly so in fertilizer, in pharmaceuticals, in veterinary medicine, and others. This sector is contributing to direct and indirect job creation. With the local manufacturing of goods, we anticipate lower and stable prices of commodities, Madam Speaker. Again, this is how it works. There's no other way. Any other way is suicidal. We anticipate lower and stable prices of commodities, including growth on the economic side because of increased activity. For example, because examples drive the point, Madam Speaker, peso dressing, fertilizer, under FISIP, just one window called FISIP, the country paid per metric tons of fertilizer, Madam Speaker, in 2021-2022 season, $1,265 per ton. But once we switched to local production, the price came down to $880 per ton in 2022-2023 season, Madam Speaker. Just to put in context, the country was able to save over $56 million just in the FISIP window. I know many Zambians were entertained with arguments and noise once we practiced what we called positive discrimination by buying from local suppliers. This is the benefit, Madam Speaker. That's what you get. It works for everybody, finally. Lowers the cost of production. It lowers the cost of what you eat on the table. In order to further encourage local manufacturing, Madam Speaker, of goods, we will continue implementing the policy of positive discrimination in the government procurement process. And we encourage the private sector to do the same by buying from local manufacturers and other value-adding businesses, Madam Speaker, without segregation. Anyone who runs a local manufacturing, local value addition product will receive positive favor in the procurement process. Doesn't matter who you are. Doesn't matter who you are, because we know the value into the economy. Madam Speaker, we equally are committed to accelerating the growth of viable small and medium enterprises. In this regard, government has increased access to finance for small and medium enterprises through the Citizens Economic Empowerment Commission, just as one window, and the Enhanced Constituency Development Fund, Madam Speaker. So far, here are the numbers again. They do matter, they tell the story. So far, in 2023, over 77,000 small and medium enterprises have been supported with various loans, including market booster loans, Busulu loans, and trade finance. Very important. Your government is pleased to note that these facilities are improving livelihoods of our people, including creating jobs. That component called self-employment, family employment. That's the beginning of multinationals, from family, self-employment. Follow the story of Microsoft. Then you'll understand what we're saying. Madam Speaker, to reduce the risk for small and medium enterprises that access financing, government increased the budgetary allocation to the Zambia Credit Guarantee Scheme to 150 million kwacha in 2023 from only 50 million kwacha in 2022. Very deliberate, Madam Speaker. This resulted in 36 small and medium enterprises accessing affordable financing from commercial banks under guarantees in the first half of this year alone. That's the impact. Credit guarantee reduces the face value of the interest rate that is accorded to small businesses because some risk is mitigated through the credit guarantee. I thought I needed to explain that a little bit for some people. We ask the financial sector to partner with the government to provide favorable lending rates to our emerging and thriving entrepreneurs in the country. We want more of our citizens, especially our women and youth, to participate in business activities in our economy. Madam Speaker, we will continue seeking local, regional, and I dare say, international market linkages for our small and medium enterprises to help our people grow their businesses. That's the anchor of any economic growth. And Madam Speaker, we must not develop goose pimples when we engage in regional and international markets. Smallest countries by geography on the world have huge GDP figures, not because of domestic consumption and population, but because of exports. Let's learn some lessons from there. But the benefits trickle to all the population in the small populated countries. Some lessons for us there. Madam Speaker, in our last address to this August House, we indicated that government was leveraging partnerships to establish innovation hubs in the country. We are glad to report that government is facilitating the establishment of an innovation hub in northwestern province of Zambia. This will ensure that digital and entrepreneurship skills among the youth, male and female, are harnessed and enhanced for economic development. Madam Speaker, we urge more private sector players to partner with the government in establishing more of such hubs throughout the country, without exception. Madam Speaker, government is putting in place various interventions to take advantage of existing opportunities for growth in the energy sector. The electricity subsector recorded an increase in the national installed generation capacity, Madam Speaker, standing at 3,790 megawatts. If you like, 3.79 gigawatts. During this first half of the year only, and this is an increase from the previous figure of 3,306 megawatts in 2021. We can do more. Completion and commissioning of the Kafue Gorge Lower Hydropower Station and the Riverside Solar Plant, a new plant by the Copperbelt Energy Corporation, were some of those that contributed to this increase. Madam Speaker, in an effort to scale up investment in renewable energy, very important given climate change challenges that we have as a country and the world, our national power utility company, ZESCO, has signed several power purchase agreements with various local, Madam Speaker, and international investors. I am proud, Madam Speaker, that the UPND New Dawn government has worked on the bureaucracy around issuance of power purchase agreements from a time when it could take 26 months, 2 years plus, to get a power purchase agreement signed. We are now able to agree a power purchase agreement in a matter of days, even within 10 days, as opposed to many years, as I said, in the past. These are the reforms that will inject more generation capacity, transmission, and others in the sector. Madam Speaker, these are important variables that will help us grow the economy through this sector. Our desire is to ensure universal access to affordable and sustainable electricity for all our people throughout the country. Increased private and public investment in all parts of the country is very important, essential. Cost reflectiveness in the electricity tariffs is another issue. We want to attract We will attract more investment and contribute to our goal of energy sufficiency and surplus, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, by way of illustration, this UPND government, New Dawn, will not enter into any power purchase agreement that makes ZESCO lose money, even before they do any business in 1 megawatt. This was a practice in the past. You will never see this again. That's why we built a huge debt mountain, which we are beginning to dismantle, just under ZESCO alone. That was a political decision. This political group will not do anything of that sort. And you'll see the benefits in a few years going on. To promote competition and allow for non-discriminatory access to electricity, Madam Speaker, here is another revolutionary decision that we have taken. And distribution of infrastructure. By the private sector, government is in the process of implementing what is called an open access regime. Private sector players, anyone, private sector players will be able to wheel power to their customers and will also help remove ZESCO from entering into unsustainable power purchase agreements, as I have said again. You produce power, Madam Speaker, at point A in the country. The transmission lines are owned by ZESCO. ZESCO will be obligated to move your power to your customer at point B. All they need to do is pay a wheeling charge. And this will be revolutionary. You will see that very soon working its numbers through the economy and, of course, job creation. Madam Speaker, upon assuming office, we committed to guaranteeing security of supply of petroleum products. To achieve this, government has disengaged from procuring, as we said before, disengaged from procuring and financing petroleum products to allow for more private sector participation in the supply chain. A structured, Madam Speaker, a structured and coordinated system is being implemented for importing petroleum products at a competitive price to ensure sustainability of supply and stability of pump prices. It's a process we're going through, and the benefits will be seen soon. Save the international oil prices increments, which we have no control over. But things under our control, the government is working on them. To mitigate the high prices of petroleum products on account of global supply chains, as I've said, supply chain price changes, the government has operationalized the Tazama pipeline to transport low sulfur diesel, meeting, unfortunately, only 80% of Zambia's domestic consumption. Some of it still has to come on road. There is a bit of distortion which we need to address, and we are working on that. We are fully aware of the challenges being faced in this sector and how these are affecting local business and our citizens in terms of the effect on the increase in the cost of doing business, and hence the efforts by government to address these issues head on. No skating around the problems. The problem is existing elsewhere. We tackle it, Madam Speaker, as we are tackling milli prices, including going in the communities to hear the voices of the community. Madam Speaker, this is an important culture to accept that we've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 well. We are yet to do 8, 9, 10, 11. That is the way it should work. Madam Speaker, the importance of infrastructure for our country cannot be overemphasized. To this end, the government is constructing and rehabilitating public roads and bridges, mainly through the public-private partnership financing model, Madam Speaker. This is another point I want to emphasize to this House. The model before in infrastructure development led us to a debt mountain. We should not get there anymore. This government is ingenious. So we've come up with a public-private partnership model, encouraging partners who are structuring transactions on a debt and lumbering the balance sheet with more debt. We've said no. Now we have achieved success in this area. I'm proud to say, Madam Speaker, very proud to say. And I think every Zambian must be proud that we will save the national balance sheet from more debt by being ingenious and work on a financing model that does not allow the taxpayer to pay even $1 for a road such as Chingola, Chirilabombwe, Kasumbalesa. It is there. Taste of the pudding is in the eating. Anyone can walk there, better quality, no dollar on the balance sheet, but delivers the services to the users. Very smart. Very smart. Using the model, Madam Speaker, using this model, Madam Speaker, the march talked about Lusaka Ndola Highway, 327 kilometers of the road, which 3 years ago, a contract was given for $1.3 billion without interest. With interest, $1.8 billion. This road now, Madam Speaker, is under construction at a far less cost of around $600 million. But, Madam Speaker, not a single kwacha will be spent by the taxpayer. It's all outside the national balance sheet. That's how we should work. That's how we should work. Address problems squarely, yet achieve growth. It's not a contradiction, it's complementary. Madam Speaker, I am the first one to say we are slow. As the UPND New Dawn government, we are slow. I have asked, Madam Speaker, the PPP Council, all the sectors involved here, and I'm getting involved. I'm getting my hands dirty so we can do more of such projects. We can do more within 1 year. Not just in the road sector, Madam Speaker, in housing, in bulk water supply, in water harvest, for irrigation, for productivity. We can do more, and we are going to do more. What we need, Madam Speaker, is the support of this House as we are amending various pieces of legislation. They will come to this floor, and I'm asking this House to work speedily to approve those amendments, which will allow us to make Zambia do some construction across the whole country, Madam Speaker. We have continued, Madam Speaker, rehabilitating and maintaining rural roads across the country. Currently, over 1,700 kilometers of these roads have been rehabilitated and maintained in the Central Province, Northern Province, Luapula Province, Eastern Province, Southern, Muchinga provinces, and more provinces will follow. Further, Madam Speaker, works on the 2,900 kilometers of roads will commence in the same provinces and in other provinces very, very soon. Western, Northwestern, and Copper Belt provinces are soon basically to come on board. I dare say Chibuluma Road. Chibuluma Road. Chibuluma Road. Very important to our country. Chibuluma Road. Thank you. Madam Speaker, through the purchase of road building equipment under the enhanced CDF, constituencies across the country, Madam Speaker, I'm very delighted, and I'm sure you are, Madam Speaker, that the constituencies are now able to buy their own road maintenance equipment. Madam Speaker, the last time such capacity was created at the constituency level was under KK's leadership. Never before since then did we see the yellow big machines in the constituencies constructing roads. It is now happening across the whole country. And we know that feeder roads now will be of better quality, and road users will be able to enjoy driving on those roads for economic activity, for tourism, for everything. Madam Speaker, again, that's how the economy works. There's no other magic. That's how the economy works. You will see the impact of this on such things as vehicles for our people lasting longer. Lesser distances covered in lesser time, which means efficiencies in the economy. That was the intention from day one. when we were still in opposition. We are pleased that we are doing it now. Madam Speaker, the construction and maintenance of aviation infrastructure is another important aspect. We said so in opposition. And now we are in a position, courtesy of the Zambian people, to deal with these issues. Our provincial airports, very important strategic assets in the economy, are being prioritized. As a start, Madam Speaker, we have constructed a 3-kilometer runway and rehabilitated the terminal buildings at Kasama Airport in Northern Province. Madam Speaker, we committed to Mwine Luvemba just a year ago when we went to Gusefya Pangwena that this airport will be different within a year. And today we can sit here proudly and say it is different. It is better. It is better. And planes can land in the night. Before you had to rush to be at the airport by 17 hours, otherwise you won't take off. Now you can take off 01, 02, land 04 in the morning. That's the economy. That's how it works. Madam Speaker, Kasama Airport can now accommodate larger aircraft and is poised to enhance tourism, mining, agriculture, and increase trade and investment in the northern circuit to spur social economic development. Madam Speaker, going forward, all provincial airports, openly, happy to say so people can check it out, that all provincial airports will be furnished with improved runways, airfield ground lighting systems, including runway systems, starting with Kasama, as I said, airport this year, to enhance aviation safety and security and support economic growth agenda that we are envisaging. This will be followed after Kasama, Solwezi upgrade, and which one else? Mansa. We are conscious of the politics of our country. That's why we are moving that way. Be patient. Those other provinces, just wait. We'll come to you. But after Kasama, we're going to Solwezi, we're going to Mansa. But we'll come to you. Further, we attach great importance to our traditional leaders. Hence, the construction of palaces for all our traditional leaders across the country without discrimination. Madam Speaker, without discrimination. We are one Zambia, one nation, one people. We don't know discrimination ourselves. What we know is service delivery to all our people. Traditional leaders were living in squalor. The palaces were unrecognizable. This will be a thing of the past in the next 2 years. Then we can move on to other things, block by block, until we get there. Human and social development. Madam Speaker, the UPND New Dawn government continues to build on gains made in education, health, as well as the water and sanitation sectors. Our administration is also addressing vulnerability and inequity among our people in this sphere. Our free education policy, Madam Speaker, proudly to say so, our free education policy has created opportunities for all our citizens to access education. It doesn't matter where they are, which parentage they are born from, what language they speak, how old they are. They are all welcome to go back to school. To avoid compromising the quality of education, Madam Speaker, government has continued to increase learning spaces. Government has continued to increase learning spaces. The construction of 149 secondary schools across the country, many of which were abandoned for 10 years, have now been completed, Madam Speaker, in the last 2 years. And all the schools are now operational. And this is what we call wastage of resources. 10 years, these schools were not touched because they were started by MMD. We do not recognize which government started, which party started the infrastructure. As long as it's a government infrastructure, public infrastructure, the New Dawn government will go ahead and complete it. So we move it from an idle asset to a productive asset. Big difference. Big difference. Very important. In addition, Madam Speaker, 132 early childhood and 61 secondary schools are at various levels of completion. These are new now, to add on to completing what we inherited, which were idle for the 10 years. So 12 years minus 10, so 10. And you know what I mean. Further, Madam Speaker, government has continued to produce desks, very important, through various forms of financing, such as the Constituency Development Fund, just as one facility. As of July 2023, let's talk about numbers again, Madam Speaker. A total number of 373,448 new desks had been procured, out of which 353,120 were procured through the CDF alone. About 747,696 pupils, Madam Speaker, are now learning while seated on desks. We said so when we took office. Arguments ensued. Here it is. Here it is, Madam Speaker. All of us in this house must be proud that our own children are sitting on desks now. No segregation. No segregation. Unlike before, Madam Speaker, all these desks, I repeat, unlike before, Madam Speaker, all these desks are being produced locally by our citizens across the country, our youth, our women, creating the much needed jobs and saving on foreign exchange. Before, all these desks will have been imported and you will have created jobs in other countries. Now, skills training under CDF, carpenters, plumbers are making our desks and supplying. Then the money is being spent in the local communities. That's why we are changing the Public Procurement Act to allow for local procurement of goods and services, Madam Speaker. That's how it works. That's how it works. Madam Speaker, teachers are a critical component in the development of our nation. Thank you. Thank you. I want to ask this country, we must enjoy the work we do for the people. We must not be hate-driven. We must be love-driven. If the children sit on the desk instead of the floor, then you love the children. Madam Speaker, teachers are a critical component in the development of our nation. In this regard, government will this year again recruit 4,500 teachers to further reduce the teacher deficit in our schools across the country without segregation. Madam Speaker, to equip our children with lifelong and equitable quality education, government is placing equal emphasis on building practical skills, entrepreneurship, and qualifications required at the industry level, not just academic. I want to confess, Madam Speaker, we were running into a deficit with artisan skills. Now we have responded through CDF, and we are training at a local level skills, imparting them into our children. Outside of this house, talk to the SME minister, talk to the Minister of Technology and Science. You can have a better conversations. Enrollments in our skills training centers have increased for a deliberate reason due to the policy measures being implemented by this government. In 2022, 76,500 of our young people were enrolled in various fields in the TVETA institutions and youth resource centers. The number has risen. The number has risen just this part of the year, before we complete it, to 86,800. Out of those enrolled, Madam Speaker, in the skills development programs, about 47,000 have been sponsored. Madam Speaker, I need your protection from this side. Madam Speaker, I beg to move. Madam Speaker, I beg to move. About 47,000 of these have been sponsored at the local level across the country under the Constituency Development Fund. And this will continue. This will continue. Madam Speaker, government this year reintroduced meal allowances to improve the welfare of students in our universities, to address some situation that was created. I don't know how anyone would have thought of taking away meal allowances from students, but it was done. But we have restored them. As a result, Madam Speaker, 32,000 students are benefiting from this policy that we decided upon, and now can focus on learning, not looking for money to feed themselves. The quality of education will improve, the output will improve, and industry will benefit from enhanced skills. Madam Speaker, we reiterate our long-held position that education is the best inheritance, is the best investment, is the best equalizer. It does not recognize your family status. Once you've gone through education, you are the same. I'm an example of that, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, health care remains central to our strategy of ensuring better lives for all our people. To improve access and quality of health care for our citizens, government has continued to construct health infrastructure across the country. During the period under review, Madam Speaker, 43 maternity annexes and 11 main hospitals have been completed so far, bringing the total number of main hospitals constructed to 110 out of the targeted 115. We are only short of 5. And these will be done very soon. In line with our earlier pronouncements, an addition of maternity annexes, which is now a mandatory requirement. Any clinic that exists in any part of the country which has no maternity wing will have a maternity wing. So our mothers, our daughters can deliver in decent environments, Madam Speaker, with running water. Even where there's no electricity grid, running water will be there through solar. But the decisions had to be made, and now they are working. Here are the numbers. Madam Speaker, when I talk of this subject, I feel emotionally touched, because there's no reason why any mother delivering our future citizen should die unnecessarily. I want to ask the House, Madam Speaker, under your leadership, we must all work together in this area. We must be bipartisan in this area. It's important. I wish to say so. Because sometimes we debate things that are taboo to debate. This is one of them. Further, Madam Speaker, to improve attention accorded to patients, government will this year once again recruit 3,000 health workers across the country. Madam Speaker, government acknowledges that the supply of essential medicines, this government acknowledges that supply of essential medicines and medical supplies in our health facilities has been inadequate, has been a challenge. We acknowledge that. That's the starting point of finding a solution. To address this, we are streamlining the procurement processes for essential medicines and medical supplies. In addition, Madam Speaker, we invite the private sector to support this government's efforts by setting up local production of medicines and medical supplies. I won't waste your time, Madam Speaker. Those efforts we made to travel to attract pharmaceutical manufacturers are yielding results. And in here, Madam Speaker, I want to say it again. We shall practice positive discrimination. We shall buy drugs from those who manufacture them here, because it has its positive impact on the economy, jobs, supply chain. Madam Speaker, the disease burden among our people is of great concern to this government. We are therefore committed, really committed, to preventing, controlling and treating both communicable and non-communicable diseases. Government continues to prioritize the fight against malaria, Madam Speaker, HIV, AIDS, cancers, mental illness, malnutrition, among others. We are also scaling up efforts to reduce maternal and neonatal mortalities, as I touched on earlier, which are unacceptably high. But we work together, Madam Speaker, to address these issues. Madam Speaker, as part of our commitment to clean and safe water supply and adequate sanitation facilities in every community of our country, we are making steady progress in implementing the National Rural Water Supply and Sanitation Program. We are also implementing programs under the National Urban Water Supply and Sanitation Program across the country, without exception. Without exception. The Constituency Development Fund, yet again, has provided another opportunity for our communities to access clean water, safe drinking, cooking, bathing water, and for economic activities, as well as adequate sanitation. Madam Speaker, here is another emotional point. No reason why a government installation, first, school, clinic, court, agricultural camp, livestock camp, should have no flush toilet. The money is there. All I ask this House, members of Parliament sitting in this House, is to prioritize water and sanitation so we can flush toilets in any part of this country. Won't you be proud that in Chama North, Chama South, in Shangombo, in Chifunaburi, we can have sanitary conditions of the sanctuary? We want other countries to come and see what we have done in this country. Let's take the lead. Again, Madam Speaker, I ask you and this House, let us work together, bipartisan, on this matter. We are putting in place measures that will allow us to check which MP is not doing work in this area. All MPs, all constituencies, including Shuangandu, must do this thing. Madam Speaker, because in Shuangandu live our decent and beloved citizens of Zambia, and they must not be left behind. Madam Speaker, government has continued to improve the lives of our vulnerable people by implementing enhanced social protection programs, such as the social cash transfer and food security pack. Under the social cash transfer program, Madam Speaker, we've increased the number of beneficiary households. Again, numbers tell the story across the country. We've increased the number to 1,027,000. 1,027,000 in 2022 from 887,759 in 2021. Again, numbers tell the story. As of June 2023, Madam Speaker, the total number of beneficiary households rose to 1,100,998. On the upward swing. Those are the measures I said at the beginning, that as we restructure the economy, Madam Speaker, we are also taking care of the vulnerable at the same time. That is our love for the people of Zambia. That's how we show it. There's no other way. This translates, Madam Speaker, to about 5.3 million people benefiting from this life-sustaining intervention as we restructure the economy, as we go through some bit of pain, because it's necessary to go through some pain to correct the ills of the past, such as the debt mountain. By the end of this year, we are working to reach the target of 1,374,500 people, beneficiary households. This is a great achievement, and we would like our people to utilize these facilities, all of them, as they give us the favor to rebuild the economy and rebuild it and not to be destroyed ever again by a small number of people. It is gratifying to note that from the time we assumed office in 2021, Madam Speaker, payments of social cash transfers to beneficiaries have been consistent and timely. Madam Speaker, we even want to improve this better by digital applications. Predictability of payments is important in building confidence, resilience, and protecting households from social and economic hardships, Madam Speaker. To improve transparency and accountability in the management of social cash transfer programs, we are digitizing, as I said, the payment system. This is mainly to improve efficiency in the management of this program. But not just efficiencies, but precision, so that the right people are the ones getting the benefits, not the wrong ones. The cleanup process is continuing, Madam Speaker, and that cleanup may require some legislative changes. Once again, we ask for your House to support such changes when they are brought on the floor of the House. Madam Speaker, government, through the Food Security Pact program, has continued to provide basic farming inputs. In addition to FISIP, Madam Speaker, I just want the House and the nation to put things in context. In addition to FISIP, in addition to the credit window available for all, we as a government are continuing to provide basic farming inputs, such as seed and fertilizer, to vulnerable but viable farmers. Third window, that's the third window. The program is currently supporting a number to the tune of 200,000 households under the rain-fed farming component alone, subcomponent, and 40,000 households through the wetland farming component, and 2,000 under the alternative livelihood intervention. Madam Speaker, these facets must be read together, not in isolation. The compounding effect is extremely positive to our people across the country. To further address vulnerability and inequalities, I beg your pardon, Madam Speaker, among women and the youth, government is implementing the National Internship, Apprenticeship, Volunteer and Graduate Program. Many may not remember, I mentioned this at my first instance in this House, that internship will come back, and here it is. Apprenticeship will come back, and here it is. Volunteer and graduate program will come back, and here it is. Walking the talk, Madam Speaker. Over 2,000 youth are due for placement in the various institutions in these categories that I've mentioned. This was dead, it's back, by intention and deliberately. Thank you, sir. Madam Speaker, through our youth empowerment programs, 4,100 youth were empowered with grants. Madam Speaker, I shall repeat this. Through our empowerment programs, in the last 2 years, 4,100 youth were empowered with grants to enable them engage in economic activities. Madam Speaker, when we talked of setting up cooperatives by our youth, some shouted negatively. Here it is. Now the money is going to those who took the opportunity to set up cooperatives and other businesses. 4,100 of them were empowered with grants to enable them engage in economic activities. Similarly, 15 youth cooperatives and 105 youth enterprises were empowered through motorbikes in the Eastern Province. Kumawa. In Eastern Province, this year, We expect the beneficiaries to work hard and pay back the loans to allow others to also access benefits. Loan repayment culture, Madam Speaker, had died in the previous 10 years. They had died completely. People got money on loan, never paid. And we have issued instructions that anyone who got a loan, especially politicians, we will recover from you, so that we can lend it to the youth who need it the most. Madam Speaker, the Enhanced Constituency Development Fund has so far benefited over 5,600 youth, women and community groups with empowerment loans. In addition, 36,700 groups for vulnerable youth and women have benefited from empowerment grants. We have also provided, Madam Speaker, please, these numbers are incremental. They are incremental, different facilities. We have also provided secondary boarding schools, yet again, bursaries to over 40,200 learners, some of whom had stopped going to school because parents could not afford boarding school. Madam Speaker, I want to put things in context. Free education was for all up to grade 12, but initially did not cover those who were in boarding schools. Then we addressed this issue through this facility. And as a result, the girl child who had dropped out of boarding school is now back in boarding school. Building the skills that the economy needs to function. Very important. Very important. Madam Speaker, I want to emphasize one thing here. Before, scholarships were all drawn from Lusaka at a central level. Today we have decentralized. And the constituencies know the vulnerable children, those in boarding, better than people in Lusaka. Hence this facility, Madam Speaker. Again, it's intentional. It's deliberate. Indeed. Madam Speaker, under contributory social protection, we amended, and I want to thank in advance this House, everybody seated in this House, and those that are not here. We want to thank you in advance for amending the National Pension Scheme Act 28 of 1996 to provide for the partial withdrawal of NAPSA benefits. Thank you, Madam Speaker, for your leadership. Thank you to your members of Parliament. Again, bipartisan motions like these must receive support from all of us for the intended benefits. Madam Speaker, the partial CANAPSA 20% is working. We campaigned on it in opposition. We have delivered on it. As of 31 July 2023, a whopping 8.1 billion kwacha had been paid to 365,192 beneficiaries across the country. Now, our citizens can access their money before they die. They can build houses. They can start a farming enterprise. They can do what will generate them resources when they retire. Ready for retirement. When you still have energy, yet you are still working. Very clever. Madam Speaker, further, we reduced the penalty rate for non-remittance of pension contributions from 20% to 10%. So we encourage people to pay. Now that they've seen the benefits of contributing to NAPSA, I'm sure the employers and the employees will now start paying to NAPSA. In order, Madam Speaker, to improve compliance, we took this measure. And once more, thank you to this House, under your leadership and your two deputies and all these members of Parliament. Thank you for your support. We have also introduced penalty waivers to assist employers struggling to fulfill statutory obligations to continue operating and prevent job losses. Very important intervention. Those who were stressed in the past, we give them relief so that their businesses don't close, so that we don't lose jobs. Yet they can continue paying to NAPSA and allow their employees to draw ECA 20%. Madam Speaker, sport has the potential to significantly contribute to human development for our people, especially the youth. During the period under review, Madam Speaker, government increased support towards sports development. We supported, again numbers, Madam Speaker, over 5,000 youth in various sports disciplines. The support comprised of air tickets, for example, sports attire, another example, accommodation, allowances, among others, to enable them to participate in various tournaments, to test their skills. We are proud, Madam Speaker, of the achievements so far recorded here at home and on the international stage. We watch our young people participate in sports. If you love your country, you feel happy and proud as you watch that television program, as our young people compete effectively than ever before. We wish to once again take this opportunity to congratulate the Copper Queens, to congratulate, Madam Speaker, the Copper Queens on their maiden qualification and participation in the 2023 FIFA Women's World Cup tournament, the first ever in our country. Arising from this support we're giving. That's the connection, Madam Speaker. That's the connection. We further congratulate the Chipolopolo boys for qualifying to the 2023 Africa Cup of Nations. After missing the last 3 editions, Madam Speaker, and we wish them the very best. We are with them all the way. Madam Speaker, we also congratulate all those who have excelled and have been awarded medals in other sporting disciplines. We reiterate that our policy continues. What is that policy? It is to encourage equal support for all the sports disciplines. There is no minor sport. We urge all our sportsmen and women to build on the gains we have made through them and continue to fly the Zambian flag high. We will continue to cheer you on all the way. Environmental sustainability. Madam Speaker, our UPND administration is committed to achieving economic growth that is environmentally sustainable. We remain committed to the global climate change agenda and the prudent management of our environment and natural resources. Madam Speaker, to this end, we developed an implementation framework to fast-track national climate development priorities. This provides for a coordinated approach in the implementation of actions by different sectors of the economy. Madam Speaker, we are making progress in reversing forest and land degradation. Is this a mere statement? No. During the period under review, 20,000 hectares of land degraded areas have been restored. 20,000 hectares. In addition, government facilitated the restoration of 110 hectares of degraded land in mining areas. This is very important, resulting in a 6% reduction in loss of biodiversity in these areas. Madam Speaker, if we don't invest in environmental management, we are injecting poison into our lives and lives of those that are yet to be born. And the consequence will be death. Death earlier than intended by God. In an effort to restore forest cover in the country, a total of 6,722 hectares of forest was planted in the 2022-2023 tree planting season. In addition, Madam Speaker, government has operationalized the Forest Development Fund to enhance management of forests. Madam Speaker, government is concerned with the high levels of pollution and the indiscriminate disposal of waste in the country. To this end, we have partnered and will continue to do so with various institutions of waste management, those who have capability in waste management, experience, aimed at strengthening institutional capacity in the management of chemical and other waste. We require our local authorities, Madam Speaker, through you, our local authorities across the country must provide appropriate garbage disposal services in convenient places for a clean environment. More important, to convert garbage into value, into jobs, into business supply opportunities. Madam Speaker, we must all remember a clean Zambia begins with each one of us. Garbage in your household must be disposed properly. Garbage in your community must be disposed properly. In your localities, as a local authority, as a province, then as a nation. Madam Speaker, government is calling for investment in the recycling, I've mentioned already, especially that of plastics, towards environmental sustainability. Local authorities should seize the opportunity to enter into public-private partnerships to implement innovative solutions for managing waste while generating, as I said, revenue, jobs, business opportunities. Madam Speaker, to improve efficiency in environmental management and monitoring, we have developed an online automated information management system called Hichilema. This will improve service delivery in environmental licensing, assessments, compliance, and emergency management. Good governance environment, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, in line with our commitment of taking services and decision-making closer to our people, the national decentralization policy has been revised and implementation has commenced in earnest. We're already on the ground. The devolution of public services to local authorities, Madam Speaker, is underway as we speak in the House now. What are we doing? Just to extract one amongst many examples. 8 exclusive local authority functions previously performed by the central government have been transferred to local authorities as provided for in the Constitution. But it was never done all these years. But we've taken the leadership to do it now. These include district health services, livestock services, and vehicle licensing, Madam Speaker. Our people can now license vehicles closer to their homes, going into familiar grounds, not coming to Lusaka or the provincial headquarters, as it were. So far, what has this done? 34,963 civil servants performing the devolved functions have been attached to local authorities. In addition, ministries with devolved functions have commenced the transfer of assets to the local authorities. To enhance efficiency, Madam Speaker, in the implementation of Constituency Development Fund projects, government has delegated the powers to approve projects to the provinces from the Ministry of Local Government in Lusaka and Rural Development, Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development, taken these functions from the center to the local areas. Government has also procured motor vehicles for monitoring constituency development projects. Thank you to the members of parliament for supporting us in this area. Now your personal vehicles don't have to be involved in the monitoring of projects. There is a dedicated vehicle. We care for you. We care for you. Government is reviewing the Constituency Development Fund Act number 11 of 2018 to enhance citizen participation, transparency, and accountability in the management, disbursement, and utilization of these funds. Funds are still lying underutilized, and years are building on. We need to uptake these funds very quickly, Madam Speaker, so that the intended investments are made and the benefits that are envisaged are realized. And I want to ask all members of parliament through you, Madam Speaker, that this is not a matter we must treat on a political basis. This is a matter we must treat from the eyes of the citizens, those that voted you into office, irrespective of your party, UPND, PF, independent. No, this is one we must hold hands and not argue because of partisanship. Let's deliver for the people. Madam Speaker, I believe that law, that bill will come to this House. And I'm asking this House to pass it expeditiously so we can run on with the business. I know, Madam Speaker, you're providing good leadership. It will happen. Further, government will construct constituent offices. I shall repeat that. Further, government will construct constituent offices across the country using the Constituent Development Fund. This is in line with the UPND New Dawn government's administration of enhancing decentralization. I'm aware, Madam Speaker, that some MPs are not accessing or don't have decent offices in their constituencies. That's why we are responding to this in this manner. So you can serve your voters better across the country. Currently, 111 constituencies have no offices. That's a specific number. 111 have no constituency offices across the country. In this regard, once this exercise, this investment is made, we expect those MPs and your staff that work with you can coordinate development in your constituencies, in our constituencies better. Extremely important. Further, Madam Speaker, we direct the Minister of Local Government and Rural Development to make the necessary legislative arrangements which will pave the way for all members of Parliament to belong to the local councils in order to enhance decentralization. I cannot understand, Madam Speaker, the wisdom of those who changed this law. The representative of the people is the Member of Parliament and councillors. Is the one that the voters have sent to this House. Is the one that is lobbying for development resource allocations for the constituents. When the decision to apportion these resources comes, the MP is told to walk out and stay outside. I'm wondering, what was the wisdom? What was the wisdom? So we would like, Madam Speaker, to move to a situation where members of Parliament sit in the local council chambers and be part of the decision making, and then they will have a better understanding of the debates they are making here in the House. Madam Speaker, I say no more on this. I say no more. Madam Speaker, Madam Speaker, Madam Speaker, I wish to continue my comments. Madam Speaker, Madam Speaker, I was told some people will sit here quietly, but they are talking. Madam Speaker, Madam Speaker, running the road of decentralization, there is a serious anomaly that has been obtaining in our country, and your government is going to address this anomaly. Councillors' remuneration. Councillors. The UPND New Dawn government is working very quickly, and you'll hear the pronouncement very soon, on improving the remuneration package for all our councillors across the country. They live in the communities. They live with the people. They are the ones who we consult as to what the priorities are in the world. This is to enhance this and strengthen our decentralization policy and carry different facets of those that work in this space together with MPs, together with the executive, together with the legislature overall, together with the judiciary. Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, we stand strong in the fight against corruption. No matter what it takes, we stand strong in the fight against corruption. No matter the delays, no matter the frustrations. Eyes on the ball. Investigations on cases of corruption and recovery of stolen assets have been intensified. We've done the homework now. We've gone around the world. We've benchmarked. We've seen how it took so long for other countries, how it's frustrating to us. We are unlocking that area. And you will see speed. We must restore assets to the true owners. We must teach citizens of this country what belongs to the people is for the people. What is private is for the private. But you will see an acceleration of this. 2 years past, we were trying to restore order and normals. I think we've done enough of that. Now we are singling out specific areas. This is one area we are going to work on, and work on in a strong manner. Despite accusing fingers wrongly, despite accusations, despite allegations, it does not matter. We stay the course on the fight against corruption. Government in totality should work together. What is that? Executive, legislature, to amend the pieces of legislation to allow us to reach the assets quickly, but also for the judiciary. Madam Speaker, we are one government. We are not three governments. We are three in one. We must work together for common good. And this is one area, when we recover assets, we sent a team to one country next door, and they're doing a good job. But they struggled for 3 years until they found their feet, but we are learning from them now. And we will do some things very quickly. Learning is a continuous process. Madam Speaker, I ask the people of Zambia through this House, through you, that our population must not be sympathetic to those who take what is not theirs. We must not invoke those sympathies. Our traditional leaders who are being engaged, no one gets protection because they were born in Chief Hamsonde, in Chief Mungaila, in Chief Kambombo, in Chief XYZ. That protection has no legal backing, no legal backing. We are seen as citizens in our own right, not through someone else. There should be no sympathy for the corrupt in our society. There should be no walkouts for the corrupt. There should be no sacred cows for the corrupt. We have to secure our country's future. And if we are to be the sacrificial team to reverse the trends of corruption, so be it. So be it. Madam Speaker, to enable as many eligible citizens as possible to exercise their constitutional right to vote, the Electoral Commission of Zambia has continued to support and to conduct continuous registration of voters in the 10 provinces of Zambia. It's going on now. Different from the past. Madam Speaker, the Constitution provided for continuous voter registration. It never happened until the New Dawn government took office. Now it's happening. Progress. From 1st June 2022 to 31st July 2023, a total of 17,913 new voters were registered, of which 10,000 were male and 7,889 were female. We want to encourage our citizens to register now. Don't wait and panic in the end. Madam Speaker, our foreign policy and international relations continue to focus on economic diplomacy. Economic diplomacy. Epela. That's all. Trade and investment on one part. Please hear me out through the Speaker. our foreign policy and international relations continue to focus on economic diplomacy, trade and investment on one part, and on the other, peace, security, and stability. We are not desirous of being part of conflicts in our region. We as citizens must not encourage other countries in the region to pick fights with Zambia. You are doing the wrong thing. You want to bring trouble to your own citizen and to yourself. This country does not want violence. We have a track record. We have a track record. We walk KK's path, and we work hard to maintain that integrity KK set up for us. We are the housing for refugees. All our neighbors, many of whom have become presidents, were housed here. Our credentials are clear. So citizens must not look at short-term political gain in order to create conflict for our citizens. No. You are in the wrong lane. You are driving on the opposite direction. And the traffic controllers will ask you to drive in the right direction. Yeah? Madam Speaker, this foreign policy is good for us to maintain peace and stability and drive investments, local, regional, and international, for the benefit of our people. Madam Speaker, what we have achieved in debt restructuring, many do not realize the value that will accrue to this. But very soon, they will see the value. Very soon. When you see so much attraction for investment in this country, Madam Speaker, it's the result of the efforts of this government in the last 2 years. Burning the midnight candle, networking, reaching out to those that are being demonized. And one wonders, why did you go and borrow from people you don't like? And you left the debt. You should have cleaned it up before you left. Now, we have to talk to them for them to come to the table. I don't understand the wisdom that our people are using. Don't talk to these imperialists in debt restructuring. But you are the one who went to the imperialists to borrow the money. So what are you saying now? You were saying you were sleeping on duty. The world needs... Madam Speaker, calling each other names when we are solving a problem created by colleagues, and the names are being called by those who created the problem, is not logic. It is not normal. It is called an abnormality. That's what we call it. Madam Speaker, on this score, if there is a subject we needed the country and this House to work together, was on debt restructuring. To support the Minister of Finance and National Planning and his team. That's what we needed. We didn't get it. Maybe there's a lesson there to learn. Madam Speaker, I want to say to you, to thank you once more for allowing your members of parliament, cabinet ministers who sit under your jurisdiction here, to have extended periods out of this House in negotiating the debt restructuring. It wasn't easy. But with your support, your leadership, and your two deputies, first deputy speaker, second deputy speaker, we are thankful. Madam Speaker, this mission impossible, which has been achieved, will now open the resource envelope to deliver more and accelerated development, jobs, education, meal allowances, medicines in our hospitals, water, sanitation, maternity wings. That's what it means.
just to put it in simple language, if it's complicated. This is one subject we must continue receiving support as we move into the private debtors, the private creditors, restructuring the private creditors' debt. And going forward, Madam Speaker, accessing financing at a fair price, technology at a fair price, joint ventures, value addition. That's what you will see going forward. And you see the curve and the graph will start going up. And we must maintain it as such, Madam Speaker. This House must stand together on those issues. There is no option to this. We have to work together for the love of the people who brought us into this House. We must work together. Madam Speaker, as the current chair of COMESA, as the current chair of the SADC organ on politics, defense and security and cooperation, Zambia will contribute to the regional agenda in the correct way on economic integration, enhancing growth in our individual economies, regional and African economy. Madam Speaker, Zambia is part of the pack of nations, civilized nations, to push for a global financial reform agenda, including decision-making for Africa, involvement at the top table. Because this is essential. It will help lower the cost of capital, technology, and the rest fall in place. This is the way countries run, Madam Speaker. Decent countries. There is no other way. The place for disorder, for vulgar language, is not there anymore. What is there is civility. Madam Speaker, the UPND New Dawn administration remains committed to serving with diligence in an orderly manner. The 20 million Zambians need decency and altering from uncivilized ways of doing things to civility, even when we differ in opinions. It is essential to remain civil to each other. Today, our people have a government that is clearly visionary, stable, and truly committed to progress. And we wish the same for anyone who will assume public office in the future. And we will support civility in our governance. But you have to endure with us for a lot more years to come. Madam Speaker, as a government, we are one that believes in the rule of law, including orderliness in our markets, in our bus stops, in the streets, freedom of our people everywhere. The colonial struggle was about freedom. Freedom, just freedom, for us to do what we want. We must continue walking that path. A government that respects and protects and values the country's resources. That's who we are. It's been tough, I must say, but we are committed to doing what is right. Even amidst the loudest noises, we are committed to doing what is right. We're making great strides in consolidating our gains as a nation, not as UPND, as a nation. UPND is only the platform. In the economic sphere, environmental, governance spheres, or other spheres, we have succeeded in restructuring our debt, as I said, to a point where we're able to pay back without compromising our ability to deliver on our obligations to our people is key to us. All of us. Should be key to all of us. Our decentralized development and governance agenda has taken root and is bearing fruit across the country. Just walk in any constituency now. You don't have to search. You will see a school there, new classroom block. You will see a clinic there. You will see a maternity wing there. You will see a borehole and reticulated water. You will see a grader working there. This is now what the eyes can see, from the visionary side now to what eyes can see. Madam Speaker, we must continue to work hard. I ask all of us in this house, shortcuts don't work. Kale wangu tacherwa has its place, but the development process requires patience, organized way of working, intentional way of working. But more important, Madam Speaker, we must continue to change the culture from laziness, from quick bucks to hard work. That is the only way. Look at Singapore. Look at Japan. Look at China. It is only through this route. There's no other. And we would like the country to move and walk this path and not any other. We must continue to be pragmatic and learn to live within our means. We must all be honest with ourselves and in our relations with one another. As in running public affairs, we carry an additional obligation. We cannot escape this. We choose to work for the public, there's an added layer of responsibility. Self-restraint. That comes with the territory. Of course, accountability. We must all be honest, as I said, with ourselves. I repeat. We must continue to pursue activities of value to our development agenda. Remember, only action brings about worthwhile change, but action must be anchored on a thoughtful process first. And this matrix must be put together in the correct way. If it's not done correctly, it creates distortionary outcomes. Madam Speaker, the forward march to progress and prosperity must continue, irrespective of any noise, irrespective of any shouting, irrespective of any threats. We must be at home. We must be comfortable to do what is right. The road may be bumpy, but we are on course. Ours is to work collectively for the greater good of the nation as a team. When we need to criticize each other, we should do so with civility. When we need to correct each other, we should do so with civility. When we need to prosecute and persecute those who take what's not theirs, we will do it without hesitation. But it's in good faith. It's not in bad faith. We are determined to improve the livelihoods of our people. We are determined to deliver a better Zambia for all. A Zambia that is united, prosperous, and equitable. And equitable. Madam Speaker, we now have the pleasure, truly humbling pleasure, to declare the third session of the 13th National Assembly officially opened. May God bless us all. Motherland, Zambia. Madam Speaker, thank you for your kind attention, and I beg to move. Thank you. What are these? Yes.
Thank you, Madam.
The Republican president has delivered his speech on the theme But then we did see after the speech, I know we'll be able to share with our viewers out there some of the excerpts from the speech that he has delivered. We did see the Republican president interacting with the leader of the opposition, and also some opposition members proceeded also to interact with Mr. Mwambazi, who is one of the member of parliament. He is chairperson of the other council.
Interesting to see the president actually interacting with the opposition. He earlier talked about us being united. We are one people. It doesn't matter whether you're in the ruling party or you are in the opposition. So that was a good, moment to see. So the president is just about to exit the parliament buildings, as you can see on your screen, accompanied by Madam Mutinta Hichilema. And we must mention that business will resume in a short while from now. Here in the chamber, we do expect Madam Speaker to come back because there are other matters, parliamentary matters that actually need to be done before the House adjourns.
I would like to urge you to stay with us because after the House adjourns, our colleagues outside, Pauline and Matimba, will be able to interact with various stakeholders and members of parliament just to find out their quick reaction regarding what the president has talked about. He has made serious pronouncements, recruitment of health workers, recruitment of teachers, and I know we do have quite a number of young people that graduated from various learning institutions, those that are providing health and those that are providing education, looking forward to the employment of civil servants.
We now get back to the chamber.
I am Chimnyangandu.
Victoria Kayeye.
Darius Jonia. The name is Wenson Mavor, and this is Diamond Media.
The Zambia International Trade Fair Trust presents the Saturday Market on the 30th of September 2023 at the Trade Fair Grounds, Liberia Road, Industrial Area in Dola. Charges for traders. Traders pre-sale 100 kwacha. Day of event 150 kwacha. Corporate 500 kwacha. Day of event 600 kwacha. Entry is free for all our customers. Come one, come all. For more details, call 0953 563 812 or 0950 676 183.